Right, hiya lads and lasses, and welcome to Darts Coaching with Dynamite Dave, and this is the battle of the flights and stems. Right, hiya lads and lasses, and welcome to the battle of the flights and stems. We've got three different systems for you. We've got the standard system, which is what 99.9% of people use. And then what I've got is I've got the click system, which is what I've used for years and years and years, and the new L-style system. L-style has been around for a while now, I understand that, but I've never actually had the opportunity to use a set of them. But I was very, very kindly donated by Johnny Cree, who's Lonewolf 180, sent me some very, very beautiful flights that have been printed in my own logo and what have you, and the Union Jack. Can't thank him enough, that's absolutely fantastic that. So what we've done is we've included them in this little bit of a comparison. So I think you'll enjoy this, I think it's pretty good myself, really, really pleased about it, right? And don't forget, if you're watching this now, 3 o'clock this afternoon, I'm on Darts and Coffee with Atomic Darts. So if you can get on over there, just go onto YouTube, type in Atomic Darts, it'll come up and it should show you today's, which says Dynamite Dave on it. It says set reminder, click that reminder and it'll come up for you about 2 to 3. Right, so don't forget I'm on there. I'm really, really stoked and proper looking forward to this. Right, so let's get on with the video. So let's go over into comparing those flights and stems. Right, so here we are over in section 1, and section 1 today is going to be a bit of a look at flights and stems. It's first thing in the morning for me, so we'll have to have the obligatory drink of tea. You have to forgive me if I do a bit of slurping, it's very hot, that tea. Right, so what we're going to talk about is flights and stems. Now, I've been doing this for many years now, and what I've done is I've come across loads of different types of flights, loads of different systems and what have you, and to be honest with you, a lot of them eye candy, what I would call flies for fishermen. And then you've got your basic stuff which works perfectly well. Some of them are high end and some of them are just standard flights and stems. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the different types and go through the pros and cons of the different types of flights and stems. So where we are going to have to start out with is with the basics. So the basic flight and the basic stem is something very similar to this, which is, and I'm only using these, I don't want anybody to think that I'm using the BVD ones because I'm thinking I'm doing them down in any way, shape or form. I'm not. These are good 100 micron flights, right, which last as good as any other 100 micron flights. The only reason I'm using these is because these are the only standard flights that I've thrown with for a long time. I've got loads about, as you can see, I've got loads of them about, but I don't use them, simple as that. My brother uses them, and this type, the standard type and the standard type of shafts. Me, there's two, well there was one type of flight and stem that I used for many years, and we'll go through that shortly after we've gone through these. Right, now the reason why I don't use standard flights and stems is twofold. Number one, they tend to break a bit too easy for my liking, and they also don't perform as well as the other systems or the other system that I have used for years. There's just no comparison, and here's the reason why. Right, you get a normal standard stem and flight. Standard stem is usually either nylon or plastic, and then you've got the flight, which is polymer. So basically it's a flat sheet of polymer. Great thing about them is they're dirt cheap. I mean, you can buy normal standard flights for normal darts. So standard set of flights like this, you can get them for as little as 25 pence a set. So if you're prepared to buy them in bulk and you want them in a solid colour, you can get them for 25p a set. Even less if you're prepared to buy them in big bulk. So that's why these, well, one of the reasons why these are good. Same thing with the stems. The reason why they're good is if you play darts once every couple of weeks and you just basically just flinging the darts at the board and just having a good time, which is perfectly fine. Don't forget, as I've said about this game, it's easy to play, as a lot of games of high skill are. They're easy enough to play, but they're very, very difficult to master. So if you only play darts occasionally, or you're not very serious about it, there's absolutely nothing wrong with a standard set of stems and flights. Right, I'll show you the reason why I don't use them now. Now this set of flights I used for about a day. So let's say 4 hours. About 4 hours actually. Over a period I've used these flights probably solid for about a day. And the reason why I've used them as much as I have is because they were on a BVD set of darts. And as I say, I want to emphasise yet again, this is nothing to do with the fact that the BVD flights are just as good as any other standard flights. They're decent quality, and they're, like I say, 75 to 100 microns thick, the same as everybody else's. But this is what I do to flights. And that's in a matter of a few hours use. That. And this is what happens to flights if your grouping is as good as mine. You absolutely destroy them. So, let's say you have some nice end sets of flights like this, and let's say the combination of flights and stems costs you £1. Right, so let's say it's 50p for the flight, 50p for the stems. So you've got a £1 set of flight stem combination to use on your darts. Now if you're like me and those last you a day, in a week you will have used £7 worth. So this is where you've got to think about how good a player you are, what level you play at, and how much equipment you're going through in a month or a week or whatever, however you want to put it. So like I say, if I use those on a consistent basis, which I did many years ago before I got to the level that I am now, this would probably cost me, let's average it out, let's say that it cost me £5 a week. So let's say it cost £5 a week, and we had some that lasted a little bit longer than others. So let's say it's a £5 a week. And now what we're going to do is we're going to move on from these standard ones. And as I've fetched a few different types, those are Darrell Gurneys. And as you can see, like brand new because I've hardly ever thrown them. I used to have those on the Shot Trappers, which have gone into the archives of Shot Trappers because they're one of my favourite darts of all time. So that's where they've gone, along with one or two other sets. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to move on from that to my stalwart, what I've used for years and years and years, and that is these. That is these. And these are the Harrow's click system. Now, nowadays you're looking at £3.5 £4 for a set of stems. Same again, £3.5 £4 for a set of flights. Now they do advertise them on eBay, on Darts Corner at £7. I think it's £7.65 for the flights and the stems. So that's something you've got to bear in mind, right? £7.65 it'll cost you for a set of flights and a set of stems. Right, the reason why I like these so much, and it's quite basic and quite simple really, they're just fantastic. The actual concept behind them is awesome, and I'll show you why. Right, this is a normal, let's get a shaft. So we've got some shafts over here, so I'll pull the shaft from over here. So this is a standard short shaft, and as you can see, all it is a shaft with a male end on it, what they class as a male end. That male end is just, again, that's a male end, and again that is just a turned down piece there. Well, it's moulded, it's obviously it's not turned because it's not steel, but it's actually got a lip on it there and a cone on the end. So it's like a lip and a cone on the end, and like assembling them and what have you during the game, taking a flight off one of these and putting another flight onto it takes 2 seconds. You get back to your box, it's one off, bang, one on, clip, and it's in. So that's what I like about them, this thing, and the durability of these is absolutely staggering. For me it is. I mean, maybe other dart players that the darts are going into the board all over the place, then there is a chance that you can catch a point in one of the flights and rip a flight. But you can do that with a normal one. You can do that with a standard flight. So that sort of argument doesn't really bear up. And this is how simple it are. This is a flight. You can get many different types. As you can see, we've got white, black here. We've got clear. We've got smoked. We've got everything in his granny. But as you can see, every one of them is in decent nick. Now that flight, I use these for about 3 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks continuous play, and that is what they're like after 3 or 4 weeks. As you can see, virtually brand new. Simplicity in itself. All you do is you get the shaft, you get the flight, and literally it's just click. And that is why they were called the click system, because as you push it over it makes a nice solid click. The one thing I love about them is the spinners. As you can see, you can turn them like that, but they don't just turn willy-nilly. As your dart goes in and comes, it will actually turn that round. But when you're throwing them, when you're handling your darts, when you're tapping the top of them, no matter what you do with your darts, you would never know that they're spinners. And that is what impressed me so much about them. You can buy the rubber rings, the little rubber rings that fit in here, and what they do is they stop them from spinning. Nah, don't bother, just don't bother. The spin on them, as you can see, it doesn't just spin round totally freely and have a rattle in it like the old spinners. You can't tell, they're absolutely spot on. Now, if you have a look at these ones, these are my current ones. Have a good look at them and have a look at the chewing on the end of them compared to, let's get it again, if we can find it. Where have you gone? There she is. If you compare those two, look at the thing of the damage on the end of the click system flight, which is the lower one, and the damage on the standard flight, which is the one above it. The one above it has had the equivalent of 1 full day's use by me. The one underneath there has been on my darts for probably, I mean, I can't say absolutely for certain, but I'm going to say 6 weeks. I'm going to say 4 to 6 weeks that has been on my darts playing virtually, not consistently, but the same as normal, probably a couple of hours a day, including filming and actually playing the game itself. So as you can see, and that's the reason why I rave about them. Not everybody likes them because the flights are quite thick on them. As you can see, the actual flight itself is quite thick, but the reason for that is it isn't the flight itself that's thick. If you look closely, see if I can get it close up for you, you can actually see a rib around the outside of it, and that is one of the reasons why they're so durable. Let's have another go full of brew. Pardon my slurping. Right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to move on to something that was sent to me by Johnny Cree. Fantastic, it's called Lonewolf 180. So if you want any of these L style, I believe he's branching out into Cosmos and Click System, and what they're doing now is they're printing those preformed flights. Fantastic. Now, this is the L style. The pros for it are, it is another really good system. The spinner on them is very similar to the Click System, and they call it silent. If I get hold of the flight and just rock that backwards and forwards, there is a tiny little bit of play in it, but very minimal, very minimal. So I think these would have to get pretty warm before you'd start to notice that they're actually spinners. Now these are the slim spinning style ones. So the flights, I'm pretty sure if you wanted to buy detail flights, not your own prints, because obviously you're talking more money there again, but the standard fancy, shall we say, flights, the L style about £7.5 to £8. So a set of flights is about the same as a full setup is for the click system. Pros for these above the click system are they feel like quality. They really do feel better quality than the click system does. Whether Arrows can do something about the materials, I'm not really sure, but these do feel like a more modern piece of kit. The only thing that's what I would class as the downside for them is they're very, very similar to a standard set of flights. You've got the shaft with the cross cut into it so the flight slides onto it. You've got something that resembles, to me, a standard flight, so it looks like a standard flight to me, and it then has to have a nose cone on it called a champagne ring. So what you have to do when you get the flights is you have to get the champagne ring off the end of the shaft. You have to push it into the gap in here, and then you slide the shaft up until it locks into that champagne ring. It's very, very good for stopping the flights coming off, and with them being spinners, hopefully there won't be too much damage to them. But this is very, very similar to a standard flight. Now I've only used these because I don't want to damage them. The spinners, so they do move out of the way, so there's very, very little damage on them at the moment. But I've not done a long-term test on these. Johnny, I think I contacted and said to him, can you sort me out some in different colours and what have you, has kindly agreed to do that for me. So I'm hoping to get some sets of these over the next few days, and what I'm going to do is play with them over Christmas and what have you. Possibly have a bit of a chuck in the Christmas special. And we're going to see how these last and see how they get chewed up. So it'll give us a better indication. But here's where the crux of the matter is. These shafts, I got them from A180 Darts, who wasn't very pleased with the service and what have you. But they'll go into that another day. These came from A180 Darts. It cost me £11.23. That's £11.23 for the shafts and the champagne rings. Right, so it's cost me, let's round it down to £11. So it cost me £11 for the shafts, and if you want to buy these and you want a fancy set of flights on it, you're looking at in between £8 and £10 for the flights. So you're looking at a setup that's going to cost you £20, there or thereabouts. Now there's no reason for me to believe that these flights will last any longer than a standard set of flights. I stand to be proven wrong. Right, so again, bit of a recap on that. Quality, really, really good. Very, very nice, good quality. Downside, very expensive. Very, very, very expensive. £20, you can buy yourself a set of tungsten darts for £20. I've just bought some Johnny Claytons on offer from Red Dragon for less than £20, and they want £20 for that. Right, so what we're going to do now is just a little bit of a final thing. What we're going to do is we're going to make the two sets up. What we're going to do is we're going to leave to one side the standard ones, because everybody knows what a standard set of darts looks like with a standard set of flights and how long they last. And the other thing that I forgot to mention was durability with the click systems. The durability on the click systems is second to none. These combinations are never ever, I've broke one shaft in 5 years. So the shafts themselves, I've managed to break one of those in 5 years, just one. Not a set, not to change a set, one shaft. I broke one shaft off at the thread where it goes into the barrel. That's one in 5 years. This setup, the shafts will last you forever. They just keep going and going and going. There's a couple of little tips, because what can happen is, because the flights and what have you last as long as they do, sometimes if you've clattered into them a few times, they go slack and they spin freely. Really, really simple to sort that out, and I'll put that in another video. Right, so what we'll do now is we'll just make a couple of these up so you can have a quick look. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the same darts. So we've got the BVD veracities. And all we're going to do is going to screw one of those into there and show you what they look like. Right, so that is the L style on the veracities. And that is the click system on the veracities. Them are the facts, and make your own mind up.